I'm Nico.
And I'm Lucas.
And today we're talking about abortion.
Keep in mind that this is a controversial topic. There are ongoing debates about it, and it can get pretty heated.
If you don't know, abortion is, by definition, the deliberate termination of a human pregnancy, most often performed during the first 28 weeks.
First, we're going to talk about the generalized opinions of abortion. People tend to fall on either one side or the other, or more specifically, liberal or conservative.
But also keep in mind that opinions on abortion specifically can be way less black and white than some other controversial topics.
True. A lot of people's thoughts on the topic come from a moral standpoint, and not always a political standpoint.
Let's get into it! We thought a good way to represent two extremely different views on abortion would be to compare a state with very restrictive laws and one with way looser laws. Alabama and California.
58% of people in Alabama are shown to be pro-life.
A poll in California shows that 71% of people are pro-choice.
Pro-life people usually believe that abortion is murder, that taxpayer money shouldn't be used for abortion, human life begins at conception, that abortion is morally wrong, and some of them are against abortion on a religious standpoint.
Pro-choice people usually believe in taxpayer-funded abortions, that women have the right to abortions, and that the government protects these rights.
Under the Human Life Protection Act, a doctor who performs a banned abortion in the state of Alabama would be guilty of a Class A felony and could be sentenced to life in prison. Several proposed amendments that would have allowed abortions in cases of rape and incest were rejected. Additionally, 5 states, Georgia, Ohio, Kentucky, Mississippi, and Louisiana have passed bills which prohibit abortion after 6 weeks, before many people realize they are pregnant.
In California, a woman can get an abortion up until your fetus becomes viable. By definition, a fetus becomes viable if it's likely to sustain survival outside of the uterus. Once the fetus becomes viable, though, a woman's right to an abortion becomes more limited. Upon viability, abortion is only legal when necessary for the life or health of the mother. Not all medical professionals can provide a surgical abortion in California. They must have a valid medical license. That license cannot be revoked or suspended. Here's all the other states' percentages on whether they're pro-life or pro-choice.
Whoa.
In America.
Whoa.
Wow!
This is a map of the US showing at what point in pregnancy you can legally get an abortion.
Even though some states have no limit, that can still mean the state has a law about viability.
Abortion isn't a new thing. There's actually been a huge history leading up to where we are now.
The National Abortion Federation says that, quote, in the mid to late 1800s, states began passing laws that made abortion illegal. The motivation for anti-abortion laws varied from state to state. One of the reasons included fears that the population would be dominated by the children of newly arriving immigrants, whose birth rates were higher than those of native Anglo-Saxon women.
During the 1800s, all surgical procedures, including abortions, were extremely risky. Hospitals were not common, antiseptics were unknown, and even the most respected doctors had only primitive medical education.
Many women died or suffered serious medical problems after attempting to self-induce their abortion or going to untrained practitioners who performed abortions with primitive methods or in unsanitary conditions. During this time, hospital emergency room staff treated thousands of women who either died or were suffering terrible effects of abortions provided without adequate skill and care.
Between 1967 and 1973, 1/3 of the state liberalized or repealed their criminal abortion law. However, the right to have an abortion in the States was only made available to American women in 1973 when the Supreme Court struck down the remaining restrictive states' laws with its ruling in Roe v. Wade.
Thank you to the National Abortion Federation for all that information. Here's how Planned Parenthood explains exactly what goes on during an abortion. First, you'll need to go to a healthcare center for counseling, an exam, and then the abortion. The abortion itself usually takes 5 to 10 minutes, and you'll get medicine to help with any of the pain.
Suction abortion is the most common kind of procedure.
During a suction abortion procedure, the doctor or nurse will examine your uterus,
put a speculum in to see your vagina,
inject a numbing medication into or near your cervix,
stretch the opening of your cervix with a series of dilating rods if you haven't had them put in earlier,
insert a thin tube through your cervix into your uterus,
use a small handheld suction device or suction machine to gently take out a pregnancy tissue out of your uterus.
They may also use a small surgical tool called a curette to remove any tissue that's left in your uterus or to make sure your uterus is totally empty. I hope you learned a thing or two about abortion.
Feel free to do your own research and develop your own opinions on the matter.
3, 2, 1. Thanks for 3, 2, 1. Thanks for learning about abortions, Cowabunga!
I didn't like that.
I loved it.
Why do we have an extra page, by the way?